Hey folks, Randy here with Dolan Cut and Trim in the Echo User Advisory Group. I wanted to talk to you guys today about avoiding getting ripped off. I'm recording this actually in the month of April, and it seems like in April of every year in my area, that's when we start mowing. That's when all the scammers come out of the woodwork, and they are just looking for any opportunity they can find to rip you off. And so it's been my goal in life to not let them do that. And so I've gotten pretty good at it. My first year in business, I got ripped off for about $250, which is great. The next year it was like 125, and then by last year, 2020, I didn't get ripped off at all. And 2021, I'm not planning on getting ripped off either. So I wanted to kind of pass on some of the things that I do to keep me from getting ripped off by a potential customer. The big thing that I did, and I'll just say this off the bat, if you are billing monthly, I know a lot of people do that, and if you are billing monthly, you are really setting yourself up to get ripped off. That's how I got ripped off for the 200 and something, is because the way it works for most of us when we're billing monthly is we bill the end of the month. So I had a guy that I mowed 4 times that month, and then sent him the bill, mowed it for another couple weeks into the next month before I started thinking something fishy was going on. And it was all said and done, he owed me over $200 that he never paid. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is you need to get away from billing monthly. It's very easy nowadays with Yard Book, Service Autopilot. I'm sure Jobber and all the rest do it too. It's very easy to have a credit card on file that gets charged at the time of each service, and that will cut down the ability for a scammer to get you by an incredible amount. The main reason is because they don't want to put their card on file with you. It's kind of like what these people are trying to do is, you're familiar with the Nigerian prince scam, where you get the email and says like, hey, I got 10 million bucks, hold it for me, I'll give you $1 million. Nobody falls for that except for the minority of people that do, and so they're not even trying to go after the folks that won't fall for that. They're pre-qualifying this people they're going to scam by giving this outlandish story. So anybody that responds to it should be easy to scam. And so when you're billing monthly for the scammers out there, that's what you're doing. You're letting them know that they're going to be able to scam you. So the first thing you want to do is bill at the time of each service. I charge the credit card once I show up to a property. So if it gets declined, I don't service their lawn. Once after a couple of weeks, because I do want to get the data from Service Autopilot, I will hold off and charge their card at the end of service, so that I can track the time I'm there and things like that. But that's the big thing that you can do. Now, the other thing that you can do, though, because I understand that that's not going to be something everyone can do. So let's just assume that you are billing monthly. There's a couple of tips that I do want to still give you that are good for everybody, but especially if you're billing monthly. First thing is pre-qualify your customers as much as possible. And when I say pre-qualify, make sure they know going in that they're going to have to pay some money. The number of scammers that went after me when I was charging a minimum $25 per cut was outrageous. And then when I bumped it up to $35, those scammers stopped trying to contact me. They stopped contacting me. They stopped trying to sign up, because I think it's a mental thing. It's like they're looking for the cheapest price, but what they're looking for is free. And so even though you really could just scam anyone, they choose to scam the people that are at the low end of the price range. So don't be at the low end of the price range, and make sure they know going in what your minimums are. So in all my advertisements, it always says, service starts at $35 per cut, and that eliminates a ton. The other thing that you really, really, really need to do is listen to your gut. Okay, now in a former life, I was a social worker. So I'm not going to be able to completely explain this to you, but there's 2 parts of your brain. And one of those parts that, like, when you get a feeling in your gut, that's a part of your brain that that's not necessarily able to be processed into verbal language. But it's a real feeling, and it's coming from a real part of your brain, that feeling in your gut. When you meet somebody and something's just off, it's because something actually is off, and you need to listen to that. If your gut says that a customer is not on the up and up, or they're looking to rip you off, don't go with them. Say, look, I don't think we're a good fit, or I'm sorry, our route in your area is just too dense, we can't take you on. Don't do it, because you're just asking to get ripped off, or you're asking for a headache. You know, like a lot of times when you get that feeling, it's because it's going to be a difficult customer. So just move on from them. Yeah, but honestly, the biggest thing you can do to keep yourself from getting ripped off is to keep the card on file and charge it at the time of service. Even if you have to charge it at the end, then the most they're going to be able to rip you off for is $35. You know, and you still got to keep an eye out. I've had scammers who have contacted us, put their card on file, and then taken it right back off, or taken it off the day of service. I've actually been dealing with someone right now. I actually just finished this off, and it was a little playing with fire, but it was fine. But I had a lady reach out to me. Oh, which this feeds into my last tip, and then we'll get out of here. Don't let them dictate the terms of your business. One of the things that scammers will like to do is change the way you do business. So, for the sake of example, I had a lady contact me, and very sweet, very kind. I've had many sweet, kind scammers. But she contacted me and said she really wanted service with us, very complimentary of doing cut and trim, all this stuff. So I sent her the quote, and 2 weeks later she accepts it, which was fine because she contacted me, like a week before our season started, so that was fine. And so we were getting up to the date where we service her area. I looked, no card on file. So I emailed her and said, hey, we're scheduled to come out tomorrow, but your card's not on file. And she responds back, payment will be provided once service rendered. No. So I responded back like, hey, I understand you might not want to put your card on file, but that's how we do it. That's what we require of all our customers. So unless it's there, we won't be there. She says, we will pay you at the time. Just like, what is this? Is this like a name it and claim it? Like, what are you doing? You know? And so I was like, no, I'm sorry. I hear you, but I'm sorry, we're not doing that. But we can provide you with other companies. She says, we are the kind of people that pay our bills, which you got to watch out for that. If you have somebody that feels the need to let you know they pay their bills, that is a major warning sign. And so I'm like, well, that's great. But if your card's not on file, we won't be there. So we don't show up. The next week, she says the card will be on file in time for the next service. I go and look the day of the service. It's not there, so we don't go. The week after that, she emails me and says, hey, I put the card on file. So will you be out tomorrow? Now here's where it gets interesting and why you got to watch these folks. So I look, the card's not there. So I say, all right, well, it's not there. If you want to call us, you can. Seems like you're having trouble. But in Service Autopilot, they've got this little thing called an audit trail. I click on the audit trail, and would you believe it? It shows that she inputted all her card information right before she sent that email, but mysteriously it's gone now. Very interesting. And she emailed me probably 2 or 3 more times saying she put the card on file, and I let her know, well, it's not there. And, more of that, we pay our bills. Could you just come out, please? No, we're not coming. One of the ways you can avoid getting ripped off is being rigid and structured in how you do things, and don't bend them. You can bend them for customers you've had for 5 or 6 years. I've done that. I got customers like, hey, Randy, my check doesn't clear till tomorrow. Can you just charge the card tomorrow? Yes. But for somebody brand new that I've never met, absolutely not. And so, finally after 5 weeks of screwing around with this lady, I was like, you know what? Look, obviously, we're not a good fit for you. Here's the information for another company. I probably shouldn't have done that part. It was a pretty big company. I think they'll be able to sniff her out. But we're not going to be able to service your property. I just wanted to pass this stuff on to you guys. there are things you can do that will make it so you don't have to deal with getting scammed by customers. Like I said, it's over the last 4 years, I've been ripped off for a total of $70 over the course of 4 years. Okay, so I mean, I've got a history of not getting ripped off, so I just wanted to pass on. These are the things that I do. I hope this is helpful to you. So this is Randy with Dolan Cut and Trim. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.